their homes. Cool.
Yeah.
I see Pablo's name, but I don't see his picture.
Yeah, or his, I can't hear or see him. Or no.
Did he do something incorrectly?
I'm not sure.
I'll call him. Davidito, ¿qué pasa, papi?
Well, we have Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. It may take her a minute or two for her video and
I
voice.
see her video. Who was underneath me? Because now that's empty.
It's Tavo.
No, Tavo's underneath you.
Okay.
Bonnie.
No, Bonnie's above her. But
Oh,
there's
Dickie's phone.
okay.
Try Dickie's phone.
Okay. Let's see what we have to do to get us open the thing at the same time. Tavo.
Why? Okay, now Tavo's coming in on a different. There's.
Okay.
See Tavo.
Okay, I see Tavo.
I can see you, Tavo. Can you hear us, Tavo? He might still be.
Does he have on sunglasses?
No, he has glasses on with a hat that says "Reach." But because he has the light behind him and not light in front of him, he looks very dark.
Who?
Tavo. Hi, Bonnie.
I can't hear Bonnie.
No, I can see Bonnie. I can't hear Bonnie.
Sorry, I was on mute. Here I
Oh,
am.
she was on
Okay,
mute.
Got it.
Yeah.
Tavo, where did you go?
Well, now I can hear Tavo. Now I can hear Tavo.
But I don't see it.
Okay.
¿A dónde tú vas?
Aquí estoy. Give me a second. Look dark.
Ventanas.
Las ventanas. Let me see. No, it's dark. Hold it.
No, yo puedo ver, le veo.
¿Me ves?
Sí. Happy birthday, Tavo.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you, guys.
So we only are waiting for Patty.
Well, it looks like Patty joined in over on the line, but there she is.
There she is.
Where?
We'll just give it a second. It's popping up.
Oh, yeah, I see her. Hey, Patty, your hair's all curly.
Hi, Patty. I don't know if she can hear us yet. She looks like she's getting set up.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, Dickie.
Hi.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lupe.
Hello.
Morning.
Right there.
Hi, Lupe.
Figured break in.
What do they say when people jump into pictures? They go, you what, photo bomb?
Yeah, photo bombing, yeah.
So she's conference calling bombing.
Bombing. Yes.
Love to see you. You guys are going partying tonight?
Well, we're having a little celebration for him here at the house.
Okay. Tell him, don't drink too much, Tavo.
A lot of Diet Coke.
He has no excuse. He's not driving today. Good to see you guys.
Bye.
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 Okay, so we don't know.
Where's football player?
Where's the football player? Playing somewhere over there. Pues, don't say ya, you listen to the football player.
So is everyone here?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
A day's mimicking Tavo.
Hey, Tavo, did you get my birthday wish?
So.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm planning to respond, but I have quite a few.
It's okay. This is the response. This is all I need right here.
Thank you. The light, the lightness. I love that one, the light.
Patty, I can't see you any longer.
Okay.
Right there.
How about now?
Sounds like you're having breakfast.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Okay. Okay.
First
So
week.
just to do a quick logistics check, you have a couple options if you're on a computer or if you're on a phone or an iPad, a mobile device. How many are on their computer? So I'm on my computer, okay, and Tavo's on his computer. So then Patty and Bonnie, are you're on a phone or an iPad, a mobile device?
iPad.
I'm on my phone right now.
Okay.
Phone.
Let's turn on the phone. Okay. If you can see everybody, then you're in gallery view. And if you're on your mobile device, you can swipe left or right, and it'll change your view to do speaker mode. Things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I can see like 4 at a time, so I kind of swipe back and forth. Yeah.
okay.
Or actually,
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay. So you just want to get familiar with where your mute button is, where your video on and off button is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Everybody else?
got you all now.
And so, okay. And then what I'm going to do, Ade and Claudette, is I'm going to switch the controls over to you. Let me see if, I'm going to try it right now and see if this works.
You are the host now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, welcome everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our day won out. You know, since last week I kept saying our day would be easier for everybody if they were all in the same place. And he kept saying, no, they need to be comfortable in their own apartment. So they didn't have dinner for the last 2 nights because I was punishing him. And then he made his own rice and beans last night, and it came out like rice pudding. So if he looks like he hasn't eaten in a couple of days, it's because he won the argument. So there must be punishment when he wins the argument.
Oh, my.
So wonderful to see you guys, and like we are in the century. Thanks to Dickie. Dickie, I want to talk to you later about some other stuff, but thank you. If we had this technology years ago, we could have unlocking futures, all the curriculum for possibility, which is what you guys are being trained in. We could do this all over the world. You know, I know we want to get to Mexico really soon. We did India, but with this technology, we can be all over the world. We can even do, I know in New York, there's a program called e-mentoring. And I guess this is how they probably mentor FaceTime, Skype. So I know we do, in New York, we do 4 consecutive in-person mentor meetings. And then after we feel that the community has established itself, then we do 3 consecutive meetings this way on group hangout.
Yeah, Google Hangout, yeah.
And then we come back for the last 2. So this may make it easier for some people to participate. So I just want to do, you want to say anything?
Yeah,
Vanessa?
that we are learning to do this will make a difference in the programs that we do. So not only this is not just for us. So we are now all of us are entering into this world. Like Claudette said, we could have mentor meetings on this kind of a platform, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. We could do something global, like all the mentors or in all the programs around the country. We can all come together. So there's a lot. It's been wonderful watching your videos.
I'd like us to start in a kind of a ritualistic way by taking in a deep breath and centering ourselves in this present moment of now. And so can we do that? Can we just kind of sit in a listening mode, so to speak, and center ourselves, our feet flat on the floor for a moment, hands in our lap, back straight. And let's just take in a deep, unifying breath together. Can we do that? Come on, pull it in. And release it. Let's do that again. Taking another deep breath through your nose and release it through your nose. And 3 is the charm, so one more. Deep breath. And you may want to close your eyes just for a moment and center yourself in this present moment of right now. And if you could allow yourself to recall the Course Leader Creed.
That's what we do.
Let's say that together. So here we go.
We'll do a call and response.
We hold. So if you know it, say it with me. But you can keep your eyes closed. We hold transformation.
We hold transformation as a possibility.
At
any time.
anytime,
And at any place.
Any place.
anywhere,
With
and
anyone.
with anyone. Being generous,
Being generous.
Generous.
We
We
got
We
bridge.
bridge the gap
we bridge the gap between
Insurmountable odds.
insurmountable odds and
What's possible.
what is
possible.
possible.
allowing
Allowing ourselves and others
and others
to live
to live
lives
life in
Of
of dignity
integrity
dignity, integrity, and
Integrity.
alignment.
and
and
aliveness.
aliveness.
yes.
We'll get there one day. All right. That's great. You can open your eyes.
Okay. Let's do a check-in. And in this check-in, I want to know how you are doing in your life, how you are doing. What are your concerns? What are you occupied with these days? What you've been thinking about? And the last thing, how has Course Leader showed up on you? And if it has, how has it showed up? So, self-select.
So who would like to go first? I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. So what life's been like is since we started, I've been looking at different patterns. I've resigned from my job, so what's been on my mind is what's the next steps? Where do I want to go in regards to my career, or ways to make money? What do I want to be doing? And what I've been thinking is that I noticed that I've been a workaholic. Like it's a word that's get used a lot. What I'm proud to is like being addicted to work. Like just working and setting everything else aside and just working all the time. And to where my health and social life and other things kind of fall away, and I just keep working.
Just 1 second. Bonnie, could you be still?
Yeah, I'm trying to actually get my phone propped up so I don't have to keep holding it. Maybe I'll put myself on mute because my arm is starting to hurt.
Okay. It's not the mute. Go ahead. So now that I know you're doing, I won't look for you.
Okay. That's what I've just been present to. I've just been having thoughts about that noticing how someone that's addicted to something like that, how it's very similar, choosing to work and setting other things aside, about how that's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to, for me, it was like having withdrawals. Like the first week was, okay, I need to be working. Where am I going to work? And then the second week was, okay, what kind of person am I if I'm not working? Is I lazy? And there's all those different thoughts. And now I'm in a calmer space to go, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where does my heart call me? Where do I want to be? What do I want to be participating in and making a difference in? So that's where I've been at.
Dickie, I've been for myself inside of what you've been saying. I could see I've had two things collapse. So I wish I had the whiteboard so there's.
We have a whiteboard.
Hold on. Watch my finger.
Okay.
The circle of. I'll do it on the piece. Okay, but I could just do this for me.
Yeah.
There's the circle. I could do this. This?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's the circle.
You're gonna have to raise it up higher.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, circle. Yeah.
There's the circle, and this is what happened. What happened? And then there's the interpretation that goes to what happened. So this is the justification, the interpretation. You can see these two circles.
Yes.
And then there's a little space for possibility. You see that?
Yes.
You see that? And then how it begins to get collapses every time something happens, you then make this bigger and bigger and bigger until it's collapsed. You see that there's no separation between interpretation and what happened. They look like they go together, and our job is to uncollapse these two things.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's space and there's no connection. So what I've been noticing about what you said is that I have that working and money go together.
Mm.
That the only way to have money is working. And then you can see there's a whole world of people that don't have that. And then what we as a society has been committed to doing is getting everybody to believe that the only way to have is by working. And then there's another collapse, is working without passion necessarily. Because without passion, the things without passion there's a myth in this world that if you work for passion, you're not going to get paid a lot. Mm-hmm. And so I like you, there's a myth. You have to uncollapse that. And for me, that's what I've been uncollapsing, that every time I think I have to do something for money that will bring money, I know I'm standing in the wrong place, because they don't go together at all.
Yeah.
Money, the consciousness of money is how it comes to you depends on what you say about how it should come to you. Mm-hmm. And early in life, we learn, first you get a little bit of allowance, and then they start taking it from you if you don't do something. Like you didn't clean the garage, so we're taking more money from your allowance. And so we get trained early in life that there's the flow of money is inside the doingness. So I understand what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dickie? What's happening with your son? Is he coming to live with you?
So him and his mother have reconciled because they had a bit of a split. They weren't talking. She went and visited him, gave him a hug, and they're reconnected, but they're in a different space now. Like he's spreading his wings like, Mom, I got this. We're good. And he's transitioning from one job to another job. So we're working out for him to come out in the next 2 weeks. So we're communicating about that.
And he's going to live with you, or he's going to go?
Well, he wants to come out and just vacation for a little bit, get a feel for and then be able to make a decision from there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dickie.
You're welcome.
Veronica, Victoria.
Hello. I know we were doing a little exercise with Dickie, and I'm like, okay, kind of like what is true? Like Veronica, I'm like, yes. And it still stayed. I'm like, okay, then it must be because I'm recognized as that. So I've actually, a lot's been going on. This week was just what you're talking about at work. It has been beyond stressful. And unfortunately, I was off the week before and left a lot of individuals in charge of getting projects done. Unfortunately, many of those collapsed. So I had to come up and do cleanup all week. And it made me realize how much passion I have for this work, and how I'm losing my passion for my real job. And it's unfortunate because I like what I do, but somehow this work that we're doing and transforming lives and looking at opportunities is really coming up on the scale of what I see myself doing. I also finished the book that you recommended.
Yay!
Yay! It was a very good book. It's a book about reclaiming your pussy, was the word. And so it was a very good book. It was about, for those of you that have never heard of that book, it's about as a female reclaiming your womanness, but also taking a stand for yourself, and really looking at life from a perspective of being able to make a difference in creating a sisterhood among women. So it's a really good book. So thank you. So it made me really take a look at quite a few things in my life and the perspectives. So anyway, so that's what I've been up to.
Yeah.
Enjoyed unplugging. I was on a camping trip and completely went off the grid, and realized that that's what my spirit needed. So I needed some time away to some beautiful places, Muir Woods, as well as Mount Tam. So that was great.
Muir Woods, beautiful. And one, I look forward to the day where you see the transformation can happen with anyone in anywhere, including the corporate job.
Yes.
That is the kinds of relatedness that you can have with your staff that will allow them to get hungry for their own leadership and expansion, so that you become what we call in our work bus hittable.
Bus hittable, yes.
Yeah, bus hittable. And bus hittable is that we don't want anybody, we want to be bus hittable, but we don't want to be hit by the bus.
Right.
It's that you can, I want to say two things to you, that you can walk away and don't have to come back to work to be right about how important you are.
Right. And I prefer, that was my intent of doing that, but unfortunately it didn't quite happen the way that I expected it to. Mm-hmm. I also want to share, it was very interesting to me that the first video or the first group I did my Deep Waters with was my team. And there were tears. There's a lot of emotion involved. And it was amazing to see that they're opening themselves up to be able to transform as well. So
that's great. And we're going to come back and ask that question, so you'll be able to go into it more. So we're going to ask on the agenda for us to ask the question, what happened to the people but don't answer that question now. We'll come back to it.
Perfect.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Fabulous. Who's next?
I can go.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, Claudette.
You got a new hairstyle. It's all curly or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I got it. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm doing good, and by good I mean happy to wake up every day and excited about the work I'm doing. I do kind of have this sort of perennial feeling that I'm sort of teetering on the edge of overwhelm. Like way too many unread emails and papers and things that need attending to that don't get attended to. So that's something I'm trying to learn how to manage. But I'm up to some kind of cool things. There's a guy, I was training in Aikido, and there was a guy in my the dojo that I trained with who is also a coach in Landmark, and he volunteered to coach me. And I wasn't going to turn him down. So we've been working together, and he is coaching me on creating a couple breakthrough projects in the school district where I'm serving. So we're talking about the possibility of taking on a project to close the achievement gap, which, I was talking with one of my colleagues about that, and he said, geez, some of the greatest minds in the country have been looking at that for decades. And I'm like, yep, that makes it a perfect project. So we'll see where that goes. And the other project is a little less of my choosing, but I'm just seeing the imminent need for it, is having conversations about how public schools and charter schools can work together and create a shared vision, because there's been a lot of us and them, and fighting for resources and fighting for students. And I don't think it's good for kids. I don't think it's good for the community. It's impacting, it's having an impact on probably both sides. Well, definitely, because the other night I led the charge to deny a new charter petition for KIPP, which was not popular among their people. And I actually didn't even have any legal basis to do it, but I did it anyway, because we're looking at laying off 140 positions because of our budget. And those 140 positions are all the support positions to keep, social workers and counselors and librarians and parent coordinators that help keep our most vulnerable kids in school. We have a $26 million deficit over the next 3 years, and adding another charter would have added somewhere between $5 and $7 million to that, $26 million hole. So anyway, I've got a meeting coming up with some people in the charter world, and talking about how we can work together.
That's fantastic.
So that's what I'm up to.
Two things from what you said. I often work with people who've expanded their capacity to envision, and then they move into overwhelm. And I just was wondering if it's time for you to have an assistant, because the more space you occupy, the less control you have.
Right. Right.
And so if you want to be the kind of person that can manage all of your details, you have to come in and be smaller.
So my interpretation of what you're saying, so I feel like I'm very good at being small, but when I'm small, it's like micromanagement, right? That's how I hold myself as small. Like I got to take care of every little detail. So I think I need a new interpretation of what it is to be small.
Yeah, but I'm saying you have the right interpretation, but you also micromanage yourself.
Say more about that.
A micromanager is always micromanaging themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying the bigger your world becomes, the less you're able to manage yourself.
Yes. Oh, I totally get that, and I have this experience, and maybe that's just part. I have this experience that things are falling away, and maybe what happens.
Things are what?
They fall away, like things that I feel like I should be on top of that I'm not on top of.
Well, that's because you have the you in the wrong place. There are many things that you won't be able to do because you've expanded. It's like if you was beginner swimmer and you have the floaties on, that's good. But if you're going to go into deep water, those floaties ain't going to make jack.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have the resources, or you have to have the consciousness of from where you are. So you went from a house to a mansion and you're still trying to clean the windows yourself.
That's literally true. I didn't go from a house to a mansion, but I did go to a place where I'm financially more I'm overextended, and so I actually let go of my housekeepers and now cleaning my own house. Mm-hmm. Which actually is kind of joyful, but I do literally see what you mean.
Okay. So you can choose where you want to swim. What kind, you could swim in a pool, a lake, or an ocean. Or some people think they could swim in their tubs. I don't know how they do that, but maybe if you're a newborn, I don't know, but whatever. So yeah, and great projects. I love the vastness and the vision and the stand that you are. But you'll have to get somebody to clean the windows to get that done. Good job. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And who's next? David.
I can go next.
Oh, okay,
Bravo can go next.
No,
Bunny, you, me, whatever.
Let's arm wrestle. No. Okay. All right, I'll go. So overall, I've been doing pretty well, but recently, I've been really disturbed by what's happening in Charlottesville, honestly. And I know it's actually not a surprise at all, because when this crazy election happened last year, I knew like shit was gonna happen, right? But I in some ways I've kind of like limited my exposure to the news because it affects me a lot, but sometimes it's like, okay, something happens bad enough, like I have to look at it. But it's hard because I feel like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'm just upset that there's like Nazis in our land, like killing people and no justice. Like, where is it going from here? So that's kind of been just preoccupying my mind. But I could relate a lot to what other people said already about you know, having been too much of a workaholic or too much pressure to work, and now coming out of that. And similar with Patty, also taking on, you know, nonprofit and other projects and trying to now come back to balance. Like, these are good things, but what things can I let go of? What things really need my attention? What things can I delegate? How do I better take care of myself? So I'm basically realizing, like, I've been overextended, and how do I restore balance? And one good thing that's been coming out of the homework assignments is it's kind of forced me in a good way to reconnect with people, because I do have a lot of great friends and people, but a lot of times we get so busy with work that we lose those, like, human relationships. And so it's actually felt really good just to get back in touch with people and spend time with people. Yeah, so I'll just leave it as that, at that for right now. Sorry, I had a little trouble sleeping last night. Yeah.
So, in what moment did it become overwhelming?
I think it's been an ongoing thing from a lot of my life, a kind of up and down. Actually, right now, my life is more stable than it's ever been. So it's going the right direction. But yeah, even as a kid, I was, like, super stressed. Like, when I was 16, I was on Prozac, you know?
Okay, so this is it's
like I'm responsible for the world kind of thing.
It's a stress control. So overwhelm is good for you.
Sometimes.
I mean, it allows you to say, oh, let's get back in balance.
Yeah.
So it's a good, you know, gas signal when you're driving in the car and the light comes on and go, you got 20 miles before you're on empty. Yeah. So we can reframe overwhelm like something is wrong here to I'm glad I have an indicator.
Yeah.
You can reframe that statement because it actually wakes you up and take you to the gas station and then do self-care.
Actually, that literally happened because last week, like the week before this week, I was working a couple really late nights. And then because of that, I actually injured my shoulder because I had been working so much. But I immediately kind of realized, wait, this has gone too far. And I called and I got doctor's appointments, started physical therapy. My work gave me all this hassle about not wanting to support me with ergonomics. And I got doctor's notes and I followed up until they approved it. So I kind of really am getting to, like, okay, I'm setting the line here.
Yeah, that's great. And sometimes the body is the last shout. I will stop you since your mind won't. Yeah, so you've set up some good indicators, body breakdown, stress, to bring you back in balance. So maybe there's one day you can create new indicators, or you don't have to go so far. So, but good job that you know what to do to pay attention to yourself. Yeah, you can reframe.
Oh, and also, Ade had recommended a book for me when I started reading it, and it's actually helped as well, The Course of Love. So I'm reading that.
Okay. The Accomplished. Okay. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Tavito? Oh, we have to unmute you, Tava. Hold on. He's not even talking. He's doing blah, blah, blah. I can read your lips.
Yeah, you got me.
I may be blind, but I read lips.
I'm good. I'm happy. I'm 45. Good. Life is good. I'm really good. It's three different areas that I've been catching myself with some opportunities and breakthroughs as well. So the first one is work. Work is good, but I have challenged with new things that I just don't know how to do it, and new assignments for the board of directors that give me a little bit of stress because I just don't know how. And then I just ask myself a question that you asked me, Claudette, a couple of weeks ago. That you asked me is the example of the people that they want a promotion and a raise, but they don't want to do the assignments to do that. So I was like a happy, like okay, I asked for it, so now I need just to deal with whatever comes. So I'm meeting with Linda Lyman and other people that they can guide me and coach me to develop some weak wings that I just need to do. I mean, I know that I can get there, just I need to learn a lot of things. So I set up a meeting with Linda and Heather and other people that I know that they're going to help me. So I'm very, very good about it. So is that work area is working good. The second area is the dog. Our little what was bulldog? No, what is that? San Bernard. San Bernard. So some people they don't know. So we have a puppy San Bernard, only 3 months old, that grow like a horse, and is destroying my entire house, and is moving the level of stress and friction between my wife and Alex, who is the person to give the dog, and you can feel in the house a lot of friction, and it's a lot of caca and a lot of pee pee and a lot of mess. And so I get a great coaching by Claudette, and it's very clear. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put my shoes as a course leader, and what can I do about it? And I catch myself with the guidance and coaching that the only thing that was missing is conditions through my wife. So she accept a dog as a present, as a birthday gift, without knowing what will take to have that kind of dog. So we have a very, very amazing conversation. Always I say that I got a great relationship with my wife, but this is the first time that we go really deep until she told me straight that she was not ready for the dog, that she loved Alex, but she doesn't want to disappoint my son, neither me, and she was keeping the dog without being happy. So Alex got it. They cried, they hugged. That was a whole Mexican soap opera, and was just a lot that night. But at the end of the day, everything worked out. We find another place for the dog, so we don't have the dog. I won't say it loud. I'm so happy. So, but we don't have the dog anymore, so it's working. But that dog gave me opportunities for the patient and for communication, and that dog gave me a lot of opportunities to grow and to catch myself as a course leader. So I think that was really good. And the last and the third area was that I start seeing myself as a course leader was I got a lot of challenge to send the video of the deep waters. I just couldn't do it. I'm not a technology person, as you all of you know, but I have some staff member that I thought that I helped me, and then they couldn't do it. So we couldn't put it from the phone to the computer. The day that I record, the day that I have the deep waters presentation, those phones, without knowing, they get out of memory. So we use like a 3 or 4 phones, and they couldn't unload it in the computer. So to make story short, I just send a message to my coach, which is Kevin, and Ade and Claudia, saying I'm running late and I cannot do it. I request a support from my IT person that work in our agency, and this guy said, I'll help you on Sunday because he's in Seattle. So I was kind of like a surrender, like I did my part. I cannot make it the video going on, so I'm done. I'm gonna just wait until I can make it happen. And then I get a text from my coach, and when I read the text, I get upset. And I was kind of like, I make him wrong, like what this guy wants. I did myself. I'm not a computer person. I request support for my 2 staff members. They cannot do it. I mean, I don't know what he wants, but I was upset because the text was, you know, are you accountable? When was your deadline? Are you a course leader? What are the weak wins? Like, what the hell are you talking about? I just cannot do it. I just can't. So, and then I get back to my thoughts in San Jose and the course leader and, you know, those situations that we can do something about it. And then I said, okay, so I asked more support. I get a meeting at 10 p.m. with some people, and finally we did it. And the sense of the satisfaction that was big. Like I was celebrating that, yeah, finally I have it in my computer. But I face frustration and I face upset and I make my coach run and I catch myself. So I think that without knowing, the course leader in San Jose, the training is putting me in the space like, oh, I can catch myself when I'm upset, when I make other people run. So I just love it. And I have the video in email finally.
That's great. That's a good demonstration of the 9-dot process where I can't go anymore. I'm mad. What you mean? There's no box. What the hell?
Yeah.
This is impossible. And then the sense of accomplishment when the young person, without any mentor cheating with them, you know, when they finally break down and after they threw the paper at you or something, and then they come back and they could do the 9 dots, and that's that look on their face.
Mm-hmm.
That's the look that everybody's trying to get from doing drugs, like, and that feeling of I got this. So when you were speaking, all I could see was the 9 dots when they struggle and struggle and struggle, and then you go, I got this accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Good job. Just to give everybody a little bit of what I've been up to lately, I just want to talk about I just been having a great life because I'm really uncollapsing work and money, detoxing myself from religion, or, you know, the limitations of religions and the lack of self-worth. But I want to just share my last weekend that I had in 2 activities that I've done that I did in Jamaica last year. So some of you know I've walked on fire coals, I've walked on glass, I've bent the rebar with my throat, I've been skydiving, whitewater rafting, you know, all the things that's like wild and crazy. So last week, I'll do the first one last. We were in Jamaica and we were on horses. And I don't ride horse, but we were on horses and the horse rode us into the water, all the way to the deep part of the water. And then, you know, you have a guide. It's almost like skydiving in tandem, but the guide was next to me. However, both times, the guide's horse threw him off and ran back to shore. But so I'm out there myself and the guide with no horse, but we're in the deep water, and then you lie down on the horse and you hold on to the mane, and then the horse starts swimming, and you're swimming on top of the horse. And then they said, well, I'm kind of like a swimmer. Then you drop down into the water, and now the horse, they turn the horse around so the horse is in front of you, and you just grab onto the tail, and the horse just brings you back to shore. It was amazing! And the second thing I did, and that's the second day, and that was really like feeling like a masculine exercise. And the first day was swimming with the dolphins. So we stand in the water and we thread in water, and you put your arms out this way, and one dolphin comes under here and one dolphin comes under here and just swims you back to shore. And then we go back into the water and you stand there with your arms to the side, and then those same 2 dolphins come from underneath the water and they put their nose in the arch of your feet, and they just lift you up. They're carrying you forward, lifting you up, and out. And as you take the picture, it looks like, because you can't see their noses, it looks like you're walking on water. It was so great. So, and I want you to know, but and my job this summer is just fundraising for Unlocking Future. That's my job. And when I came back from having fun, I had more money came in that week while I was having fun than when I was in the office working it. So I'm really learning how to move energy, and you guys will hear more of this, and it will impact you as a course leader. So that's what I've been up to, just having a great time. Anything you want to share there?
You didn't take me with you. I want to share that part.
Well, the weekend before that, we were in the Bahamas, and we were on the banana boat. Did you fall out the banana boat?
I didn't fall out.
Oh, he didn't fall out this time.
Yeah.
This time he didn't fall out. So what are you up to so people can get?
I think a feeling, I didn't, let me think a minute. I think, yeah, okay, so I could say one of the things in front of me right now, because I keep being an advocate for not planning and having my day show up as it occurs, as it comes in front of me. So rather than having a long list of things to do, of things I ought to do during the day, I'm a lot more open now to dealing with things as they show up, which may not be on my agenda, or not even a thought that I was having that there was going to be something to be dealt with. And I find myself a lot happier when I do that, when I'm just hitting the ball that's coming over the net, so to speak, rather than looking for something that I think I ought to be up to. One of the things that's occurring that I'm tracking these days is who calls me, particularly men friends. I don't consider myself to have very many men friends. And you know, the kind of guys that we talk, I don't have a whole lot to talk about these days. I'm not interested in sports. I'm not interested in politics. It all seems to be those things that I used to be interested with men, it seems to have just withered away from me, not a concern. As much as, Bonnie, is what's going on with the political scene, it all looks like the same thing over and over again. They just changed the names to protect the innocent, so to speak, you know? But when I listen to the news on radio, every now and then, it seems like the same scenario that happened 40 years ago, 50 years ago to me. It's like, oh, this world just keeps being a gerbical experience. So somebody called me and asked, fundraising was in front of me for this person who had been a vision funder, a recurring monthly donor. And he asked me, he said he wouldn't do it, he wouldn't continue, but the way he put it was, well, he has a business, and if I joined his business, then he could look at giving a contribution to Unlocking Futures. And I just heard it as a tit for tat, and I couldn't, when I left him, when I left the conversation with him, I looked at this person doesn't have the sense of value of what Unlocking Futures is up to. And therefore, he thinks that if I become a customer of his, that will then give him money to contribute to the organization. It didn't sit well with me at all. And I called him back to have the conversation about doing a favor for him and him then doing a favor for me. And it was like, this is not the life that I'm living, where I am dancing with favors, if y'all can hear what I'm saying. It's like the work that I'm up to is sufficient unto itself. And if people can see value for it in what's going on with young people learning and growing and developing and transforming in this work, then that is sufficient. Not that I have to give you something else. And anyway, I've been dancing with that conversation and straightening it out for myself, that you can make a contribution to something that's changing the world, and that's sufficient. That can be what you get in return for your dollar, is the experience that the world is shifting.
So Lynn Twist would call that. Lynn Twist tells the story that Lynn Twist has raised millions. I have raised at least $25 million in my lifetime, and I'm going to say Lynn Twist has raised at least $1 billion in her lifetime. And she tells the story, and she makes 2 points. She went to, I think it was Seattle. She flew to Seattle for a corporation, and the man hardly listened to her, and then he gave her a check for $50,000. And when she got home the next day, she sent the check back because he didn't even know. He was just, a corporation was giving money. He wasn't committed to the end of hunger. And then she tells the story about she was working, she did a fundraiser in Harlem in the basement of a church. And there was this elderly Black woman who at least 75, 80 years old and living on a very small budget. And the lady took $10 out of her bra and gave it to Lynn. And Lynn called that blessed money. And so what I hear you saying, Ade, when people are committed to the mission, the amount doesn't matter. The money comes that is blessed and is coming from the heart. But when people are just making a gesture, it's like what Lynn says, that money has no integrity in it. And she didn't want to launder dirty money and use it for something good. So that's what I hear. That's what you remind me of.
It was something. Yeah, that's a great point to this. I'll tell you something on myself. I had a conversation right after with that guy with another person who called me, and he owes me money. Well, he promised me some money.
He owes you money.
He promised me money, so he owes me money. But I didn't ask him for the money, right? He said he would like to give me this money. So great. So now that he hasn't given it to me, it's been like a couple of weeks now, a month that she and my. So I'm saying to him, oh, well, I'm doing this bowl-a-thon in 2 weeks. Why don't you become a captain of the bowl-a-thon team? Now, I think I got him because he owes me something, right? And then I heard myself doing this very same thing that this guy was asking me to do, you know, the tit for tat. And I had to call, and I actually enrolled him. I actually asked him to do it. He said yes, but I called him back when I got what I had just done, that I was doing the very same thing, and told him, no, thank you. I don't need you to be a captain here. Just leave it alone. So I'm just letting you know that those are the kinds of conversations that I'm having in my life. That's the kind of unraveling of thoughts that I'm going through where, yeah, people don't owe me anything. And people aren't beholden to me for anything. And the past doesn't necessarily determine that you could contribute to me. It's really what we're looking for. The past is great to take a look at all that's happened since then. But what I'm standing for is what's coming. Yeah. The enrollment isn't really out of the past or favor or, I'm going to say, friendship. What looks like friendship.
Are you working this out?
I'm working it out. I'm telling you, I've been in this conversation to say, you know, that we are sufficient. to ourselves.
So are you doing a bowl-a-thon for New York?
No.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I'm like,
Yeah, that's coming up. We actually shared the bowl-a-thon idea with a group called the Stars Foundation, and we are championing bringing a group from South Africa to do a tour of the United States, and we're creating the money that way.
Yeah, so this is, I gave them the concept of bowl-a-thon, and I think this is maybe the 7th annual bowl-a-thon. Yeah, so great. So everybody feel related? Great. So this, I'm going to give you a little rundown of what the rest of the morning is going to look like. We're going to, so everyone should have some place. We sent you the evaluation form for the video work that you just did. I just want you to know, you guys did amazing. Oh, each one of you did different, but they were all inspiring. I personally felt that I got enrolled in the conversation every time you did it. It was like, wow, this is really a good piece of work. So we're going to go over that, the form. And then what you're going to do is we're going to probably come offline, and you're going to go and watch your own video and evaluate yourself based on the evaluation form. Okay? You guys shake your head if you're following me.
Patty left. Where is she?
No, Patty.
I'm here.
Patty's here. Kevin joined, and so his video popped up, but he's on mute.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Hey, Kevin. Love seeing you. Woohoo. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be put in a room, a private room with another person, and you guys are going to look at each other's videos together. So at first we were going to have you look at their video first, and then I said no, because the critic is going to be out while they're judging somebody else's video. Let them evaluate their own video so that they can have some compassion for the other person's video. So together you guys will watch your videos. Kevin makes number 6, right? He's just listening. But if he's on the phone, I'm gonna put him to work. You know me. I put everybody. Everybody go work now. And so those. And the first thing that will happen is what happened to the guests, to the people that you did the work with. And then we'll take a break for lunch or an early brunch for you guys, because it's late for us. We have to eat. And then that's all I'm going to say for now. So this morning that will happen. In the afternoon, I'll just say a little bit, we'll create the script for the child. And then that's not a lot of things. Because as the course leader, you have to make sure that the child knows exactly what to say, because they're part of the script. You know, they have to say that, you have to have them say, why don't you believe me? So you have to know that whole sequence, and so that your piece works succinctly, and as well as what's happening in the deep water. There are some key statements that have to be said, like when the youngsters says, I can't swim that far, that's too deep. And the group of people come back and say, somebody says, I'll help you. And they go and get them and bring them into the deep water. That's the important piece. And then when they're in the water and they say, the kid says, I have to go. It's getting late and I got to go to school tomorrow, or I have to go do something with education. And because the critical line is, oh man, you don't need to go finish school. You could get a GED, so there's critical. So when you're leading it, it's not just leading the part of a parent. You have to know all three pieces. So we're still going to be working on this deep water script for the remaining of the day, so pretty much. And then we'll talk a little bit about who you're coaching, the breakthrough project that you are working with someone, and we'll talk about that this afternoon. So Lisette couldn't make the call, and I don't think Katie will be on the call, but thanks, Kevin. I love you, Kevin! And for the people who are coming to the New York residential camp intensive, everybody calls it, I believe it's the first weekend in November. I know Lisette will be there, I think Tavos is set up to be there. I'm not quite sure, but it's the first week in November. But don't buy an airline ticket until I pay the deposit to the camp. Okay.
Sorry, I have a quick logistical question for camp for San Jose. So I think on the CCLT schedule, it says that we need to be there Thursday, Friday through Monday.
I don't know anything about the camp dates.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I just need to request work time off early.
Okay, so that's not me. That's okay. Hilda and Abby.
Okay, so I'll ask them, because normally we go on Friday, but I just needed to know because we're doing course leadership, if I needed to take an additional day off. Normally we leave on Friday, but I'll check with them.
So if you're asking, did we put another day?
Yeah.
I'm not. I will have to answer that question later. But
okay, sure.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Okay, so what happened when you got to the people you did the video with? Bonnie, why don't you start since you're right there?
Sure. So it was relatively light. I didn't have people cry or anything like that, but what I did notice was definitely being related, partly actually from laughing and just playing together. People were related, and then I would go, to Starbucks after, or that we would just keep in touch, and a lot of them did share a lot about what was going on in their lives and support, and that's also been showing up in some other places in my life as well. So I felt like I just created a space that was safe and related, and people were connecting and talking to each other and hugging and stuff. So it was like a good energy. It didn't feel like a chore or anything. It was but I didn't notice any breakthroughs in the middle of the work or something, which I wasn't really expecting. I was doing it as a practice, so maybe I don't know if I should have had that intention. I wasn't having that intention for them to have a breakthrough in there, but I was definitely being connected, being related, and caring about them as individuals. And some of the people that talked to me, they were going through some things in their personal life, and then they shared with me, and I think they appreciated that, just being together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Who's next?
I can go next.
Okay.
For me was we call practice, but for me was kind of like a real. I had a parenting class, and also was a little bit different because even though I did not change the scripts and the the deep water performance, what changed was the participants. So I didn't have teenagers in front of me. I have 12 or 14 adults, the majority moms. So these are mothers of clients of our program. So those are the moms that are dealing with behavioral challenges with their kids, mental challenges. So I did a little bit different, and I worked with Claudette before I presented. How can I make those little changes? It was a very good response when we finished the video. I have one of the moms in a completely breakdown crying, and I did a lot of coaching. Another thing that
What impacted her?
when the concept of when she when my daughter made the lie, the first lie, and I asked them, who does she lie to, and then there was like she lied to you, and something was damaged, was the trust. But when I said that she damaged her own trust, the trust with herself, and that she lied to herself, she started just crying, and I continued the skid, but she just cry and cry and cry. So at the end, she resolved that when she said that instead of seeing her daughter or her children, she saw herself, and she said that since the first time that she lied to herself, it's been a consistent lie her entire life and marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very, powerful because I worked with her for a little while. So that was the first thing, and then the second thing is that um, even though I practice to do my classes bilingual and to do it English, Spanish back and forth. I think that was very good, but I see some stuff that I need to do differently because I see the video that I get to the point that I didn't listen to the translation. I just keep going in English, and so that was another thing that always I speak back and forth English and Spanish, and this time I was planning to do it everything in English, but I think that was different for me. So I got 6 moms that in the last 2 weeks they've been requesting a second class. I think that they're expecting deep waters skid every class. And I said, no, we're done. But they love it. We got a great response. So I think that I'm gonna consider their request, and then instead of having one meeting a month with parents, I'm gonna do twice a month because they see the powerful of that class was really, really good. So I'm gonna add another class a month, and a lot of people they like it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
This is Dickie.
And Tavo, when I speak with you, when I was looking at the video, there's more, because I know you're going to be working more with the parents. So there are more things I think you and Kevin could explore before you get to me, how to keep the story the same, but how to tailor. Kevin, you and Tavo put your heads together and see what you come up with.
Yeah, and one more thing that I want to add. So few days before I presented, I was having some question, and I got a conversation with Kev, and he said, don't struggle to change everything. The skill, to work with the young people. Just at the end, the wrap up has to be different because are adults, but the performance was the same. So
okay.
I work in my head that I have young people in front of me, and at the end, I have to switch it, and then I said, okay, now I have adults in front of me. But they get in line and they put themselves in the waters. We did the whole thing.
Yeah. So Kevin, the wrap up could be stronger. So and maybe the opening as well. You could set it up. We're talking about you know, like when we do the mentor training, we say things like, you're going to be in 2 places in this training. You're going to be a person getting the training, and then you're going to observe yourself as a person that the training is happening to. That you're going through the training and you're getting the training at the same time. So there's two different experiences. So that maybe there's something we can do to set it up, and we'll talk further about that.
Okay. Okay.
So my experience, the feedback that I got was when I went through it the first time, that they were really moved by the conversation, just the whole conversation. And what I noticed is that I could see them reflecting of, oh, when did I do that with my parents? When did I lie to my parents? When did I was like, oh wow, they're really engaged in this and tempering my conversation to let them a little time to reflect instead of just rolling straight through it. I could see them engaged in it. And then last night's what I did last night, so there was the lie. There was a big sense around the lie, and then they started crying when we did the boat conversation, because there's lots of people in your life that have been offering help. We're not the first, but we could be the last. She just started crying. She was just like, wow, that like there's a choice point of how do I want to continue to play this. And so it was just interesting for me to notice that in delivering the conversation, that different points with different people were bringing out different things, and how they were reflecting what they saw, and how it was contributing to me when we were going through the opponent. You know, if you're going to assign yourself in deep waters based on your opponent, if you're using drugs, if you're self-harming. And one of my participants was like, sex, you got to admit if you're having sex, and I was like, okay, there's something around sex for them that I get. So I was like, okay, yes, if you're having sex, if you're doing all this stuff. And
yeah, for sex, we normally say unprotected sex.
Unprotected sex, okay.
Yeah. But sex is good.
Yeah.
It's only bad when it's unprotected.
Okay.
Or you're 10 years old, you shouldn't be having sex.
Yeah.
But wait, let me think about that. If I'm sneaking sex, am I at risk?
I think what we wish to say was unsafe sex, because unprotected sex is unsafe sex, but also other kinds of sex could be unsafe.
No, yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out if I'm 17 or 15, like for alcohol, there's a legal age when you could drink. I think it's 21, and you have to be 21 before you buy cigarettes. And so if you're drinking and buying drugs and smoking cigarettes, it's illegal, so you're at risk. But there's no legal age for sex.
Actually, there is, right? It's 18.
It's 18 to be adult.
But
where does that? There's no legal age. You can't have sex before you're 18.
It's not against the law.
There's an age in which you can't have sex with a minor. That's an age. That's a limit. 18 or so. If you do that over 18, you get prosecuted as an adult or something. I mean, it's something.
Right.
But there's no. You could go to jail if you're having sex, or you could get arrested if you
Right.
there's no sex age.
No,
It depends on the situation and who you're with and why you're doing it. Is it a self-harm thing? Is
No,
it
but
unprotected?
that's not what I'm trying to get the sneaking part. The sneaking part. So if you're sneaking smoking cigarettes, you're still doing something illegal. If you're sneaking drinking and buying drinking, it's illegal. But
but you could be sneaking sex because your parents don't approve, but it still works for you, right? So it doesn't really, I don't know.
It's not so that's why I would just say unsafe sex, unprotected sex.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, or shameful sex, or guilty sex.
Yeah.
Guilty or shameful sex, like if I'm having sex and I know I'm sneaking it and I'm ashamed or I'm feeling guilty, that's at risk. If it ain't happening in the daylight. So I want you to know, when I was pregnant, I was 29 years old. Having my daughter with our day, and I was so upset. I was so upset because it was the first time I guess I was having sneak sex the whole time, but I was really upset because now I go, oh, now people know I have sex. And I'm 29 years old, and I was like, oh my God. Before they wouldn't know, they could wonder, but now they know I'm having. And I'm 29 years old, so so I would say guilt-free or shameless sex, protected sex.
Yes, and that's what came up in when we were talking, that they shared that they were so ashamed of having sex, they thought God was going to punish them. They were like, and then I did it like once, then I did it twice, and I was this, and I was just waiting to be.
Exactly.
It wasn't until later. So yes,
exactly, and that's that religion thing, because when I got pregnant, we weren't married yet. So if I was married, I wouldn't have had the shame, because inside the religion, you have to wait till you're married to have sex.
Yes.
Sabo started having sex when he was 8.
That's not true. 9. That's not true.
I know. Okay, so let's see, Victoria. What happened when you did your presentation to the people?
So I started the presentation, and I did ask before we started, I said, go back to when you were a young person, and we'll do this presentation from that perspective. And we went through the whole process.
Listen to that. That's a good start.
So we went through the full process, and I could see that they were really contemplating when they were young. And when we were going through it, they went through the whole, they put themselves in the waters, and some of them went all the way to the back.
I saw.
Yeah, so.
To get out the room.
Right, they were ready to get out the room. That's right, as far as they could, and they really did participate from the perspective of when they were young, but also many of them were parents. So seeing them really participating from that perspective, and seeing not only themselves, but also their children in the process. It was also touched on a couple of kind of major things because my assistant, his son committed suicide less than 3 months ago. So it was a little difficult for him as well as he went through the process. However, that had something to do with the tears, but it's really, it was seeing how, in the end, when we were going through, really how many of them have put themselves last, and the self-harm that they've done to themselves, and just the lack of confidence. and really being able to see that in them. And it was good because it brought my team closer together as well, to be able to really look at each other as individuals, perfect, whole, and complete, just as they are. But they were feeling like they were drowning. And that really made them realize that they can make a change and get in that boat. And that process of going through the boat exercise really did make a difference with them. And knowing that, just as we say, you know, we're not the first people that have come for you, but we're definitely may be the last. And so many of them have been through quite a bit with their children, for all different reasons. So it's really a good opportunity. With the second group, it was actually my family, and my sister was present for that. But she also saw that our conversation was impacting what she saw her own children in that process, and how that was for them to be in the waters that they're in, and being able to be a better parent. So that was a discussion that we had. And as my father said, I'm my father's daughter. My dad works with prisoners that are in jail. So it gave me an opportunity to be able for him to see kind of what we do in our work that impacts the work that he does. So it was good.
That's great. That's great. Cool beans. Yeah. And Patty.
So I did it with some of the members of our Bright Futures leadership team. Actually, the coaching I got from my day before was about how I'm kind of holding this like it's difficult and, you know, onerous to kind of get all these pieces together like a chore. And so I was looking for some sort of synergy, like how could I do this project when, you know, like ride the horse the way it's running, right? So I just, we ordinarily have our meeting at a restaurant, but the restaurant closed. And so I said, hey guys, why don't we just have the meeting at my house, and then whoever can stay after, I'll just do this video project. And so I did get Tom, Karen, Marty, and Shabir all agreed to stay after. And so I just did it in my dining room. And so I don't know that it didn't occur to me that I could have done this and had an impact on the people I was sharing it with. But I wasn't necessarily holding it that way. And I'm not sure that they either. I think they were probably seen it like doing me a favor, and, you know, seen it before. And yeah, so it's great to hear from the rest of you how you went about it and the results you saw.
That's great. That's great.
I have a couple things and I want to share this because I don't know if it showed up for anybody else. So for me, I was originally going to do it before the deadline on Saturday. And unfortunately, the group that I was going to present to kept saying, no, we don't have time, or now's not a good time. And I realized how much it affected me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss a deadline. I'm going to miss something that's important. And allowed for it to really affect me, that they were not willing, that they were not available. So it was definitely a lesson for me to be able to go ahead and say, okay, if I can't, then I can't, and realizing that I can't control everything. So I don't know if anybody else had that experience, but it truly had an impact to where I was almost in tears with my sister. She's like, we'll take care of it this week, don't worry. But just feeling that I had been kind of let down, I had to kind of check in with that on my own.
That's great. We were looking at the clock for some of you, and you know, there are only two things you can have in life. The two R's. Do you remember that conversation? The two R's. The results or the reasons why not.
Mm.
Those are the only two things you can have. And so, as a course leader, yes, there will sometimes be reasons. But Tavo told you, Kevin, Tavo told the story of getting me to the airport when there was a fatal motorcycle ride.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, of course I remember.
And
Kevin, remember that?
and it was really, I should not have made that airplane. And we actually got to the airport a couple of minutes earlier. And we timed it. So, and the traffic was stopped. And Kevin Tavo told the story last time, and what he said was, Claudette said there are 3 course leaders in this car. We can make anything happen. And I think Kevin had some information that we didn't have. He knew what the car, like when there's a fatal accident, he knew that there was this car, that once this car goes to the scene, right, Kevin? That when this car goes to the scene, that's when it's good. You talk.
Well, we just knew that once the ambulance had passed and the air vac had lifted, that they would have to start letting traffic pass. That signaled that they had taken whoever or whatever away from the scene. And shortly after, we were able to go.
Right, and we positioned ourselves. We said we're going where the accident is, as close as we could get to the accident, so that we could get out. And most people were like way in the back, right?
Yeah, we went way down the road, and then we went as far until they turned us around, and then we picked out our spot that was closest to the police officer, and we parked there.
But remember that the truck driver told us that we're going to stay there for hours because they get the radio.
Right. And so inside of the reasons why not is when you're going to get to a place. You're going to get to a place as a course leader where you know you're God in the matter. And everything, the intention in your word. And it's not keeping your word. So the keeping your word is what's going to have you, what you said, Victoria, Veronica, it's going to have you stressed and be concerned when you got to keep your word. But when you're generating yourself as word, you're just creating it with intention and making it happen. And so when I said we were looking at the clock, is because it's how you send it in and when you send it in, and how you delivered it. We could tell if you were where you were standing. Were you standing as a course leader delivering this, or were you practicing something? And there are 2 different things. You know, practicing something is not the same as delivering it as though this is the moment. Because we hold transformation as a possibility at any time and with anyone and anywhere. And you don't know, like, the people that who you're standing in front of in that moment, they could have a breakthrough. So I'd like someone to talk about what did it, so I know, let's see, Tavo did his parent meeting, Veronica did the staff. What was it like for the rest of you to get Patty got the kids. So what was it like for you, Dickie and and Bonnie to just gather the people. And Patty, I heard that it was arduous for you. Mm-hmm.
But actually,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go, honey.
No, I was holding it like it was arduous, and the coaching I got from Ade was hold that it just could be easy, hold that it could just flow, you know? And so that's when I started to look for, well, here's an opportunity for this just to flow, you know, like we're meeting anyway, and I just enrolled some people in staying after. But I also noticed in your sharing today that I was holding it like I was practicing more than like I was delivering the content.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Do you want me to go? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, Bonnie.
So for me, like by itself, the act of getting people together is not a problem. I enjoy it. I want to see my friends again. But things can get in the way. So what happened was a coworker who's actually in India blocked me on a project for an entire 7 days, and I was having to try to get unblocked every day and following up, and he was just like blowing me off and this and that. So I was getting more and more frustrated until I told him, look, you have to revert this change or I'm going to work in a separate environment, right? And he did, and that was really stressful for me because the longer that went on, the more I feel like, well, I need to meet my deadline. So that means I need to crunch. And that's when I worked the really late nights and ended up injuring my shoulder after that was over. So it ended up impacting everything. And I even messaged, so I realized, okay, what's the responsible thing to do? And I messaged today and I said something came up at work and I might be late with my third video. And then I still tried to make it happen on Saturday, but it was such short notice because it was like the night before trying to organize. And the people came together, but one of them had to leave early. Another one came late. And I said, you know what, it's not going to happen today. I'm not going to force it if it doesn't feel right. So we agreed that the ones who could, 2 people, would come back the next day and that I would find a couple other people to make it happen so it wasn't rushed and it had a good energy. But it all comes back to when do I let things get too far before I push back, you know? And so I think even with that work situation, I should have, before being blocked an entire 7 days when it had reached like day 3 or something, I should have valued myself enough to escalate it rather than try to be nice and be accommodating and then get myself stressed out. So, and this is a pattern in my life where sometimes this happens. Like I plan things out well in advance and then someone comes in, totally disrupts, and I have to like recharge my patience, or, you know, I alternate between wanting to like go off on them or like just be like, what's the point, you know? So I have to be more powerful in dealing with that kind of adversity, so it doesn't impact all these other areas of my life. So sorry, that's a long story, but that's what happened. Work basically took over and said, you know, I'm going to get in the way of your life, and I waited too long to set boundaries with stuff at work.
This Bonnie, you remind me of myself a lot in that enrolling people can always be what's in the front. What's in the forefront of getting things done is enrolling people in the value of what I'm up to, that they could see some value for themselves in what I'm up to so that they could support me. So this morning on the way to the picnic that we were putting together, I was doing everything. I was making some rice that I tried to make last night. I didn't do it very well, some rice and peas. And I should have called Tavo and asked him for the recipe and how to do it. But I wound up getting the Goya box. And anyway, I was just a lot of things going on for me. And doing it all by myself without telling Claudette what I needed what I was doing, so she could look and see if she could support me to get this whole thing done so that we could be here easily. And it just wound up cramping my style, I'll say it like that, and tightening my jaws so that I couldn't even speak, you know. So there is the sense of two things show up: enrollment, letting people know what I'm up to and seeing and allowing them to say they could support me. And the other is the conditions of winning, which is how we're working together here, workability that I'm creating or not creating, so that other people, I can get my life, so my life will work, and I can continue to keep all my promises that I made to other people, if that makes sense to you. So that's what you remind me of.
Yeah, and I realize I'm holding things separate. Like, this is the area where I'm really related, and but then at work, in some ways I'm related with some people, but also the culture is so strong of just competition and get things done, and don't even check in with this person and just get this project done, and you're not even connected, you don't know anything about them, and you have to work together. And so, yeah, I'm realizing I'm gonna have to hold transformation as a possibility at any time, any place, anywhere, with anyone. Otherwise, that's going to cramp my style, because that overflow from work dysfunction starts infecting other areas of my life, you know? So I'm getting that, yeah.
Okay, we're going to go through the evaluation. Is this it?
Evaluation. Vicki, would you pull it up like we did earlier?
Don't you have a copy of it?
Yes.
I know, but I want to be able to read. Oh, okay. So you want to go through this, or you want me to finish it?
So if everybody would, if this is visible to you, what we did was create an evaluation tool. And it's actually could be used as a checklist for listening and observing the video your presentation or another's presentation, particularly this is designed particularly for the deep waters conversation. So if you follow this, can you read it, or do you read your own, whichever? But let's go through it for a moment. So thank you, Vicki. That's great. Okay, yeah, so this is a tool for deep waters. And the first thing is, are you listening? Are you hearing four voices as the presentation is delivered? There would be the storyteller's voice, the mother-father voice, that is whether you play it. So the male is playing the father, and if you're a female, you're playing the mother. Then there's the course leader voice that interrupts the story and makes a point. And then there's the child's voice, which Claudette already said. We're going to spend some time later on this afternoon getting clear on that script.
And the reason that was in there, because some of you spoke, and that won't, only for this one will the child voice be important to you, because you guys were doing the child as well. But when in the future, when you have a real child, you don't need a child voice.
Okay, so if you look at the first aspect, the first element of this presentation is the beach story. You're listening to see, did the presenter introduce going to the beach story? It introduced the story, set people up to say, we're getting ready to do a story. Then you're going to look at, do you hear the course leader doing more asking, asking in terms of how the parent introduces the infant to the beach water. So this is a question to involve the audience rather than telling them. That's the second one. Or do you hear them doing more telling than asking? So you're going to look and see.
So some of you actually did ask, but then you answered it yourself. Like, how do they get to the water? And then you answered it. Or some of you told them how you were going to take them to the water. So it in all transformation, in the basis of everything is that people have all of the answers. We're the true form of education is to bring out. And so you hear kids all the time. Well, I hear kids all the time. That lady, she asked me so many questions because they're coming from a institutional education where we just tell them everything and we jam answers in. So we're not doing that in any of our work. We're asking them, because in asking them, they have to begin, in the asking process, they begin to separate themselves, and unknown to them, they're creating an observer. They're beginning to step back and see things versus just looking at something. So the asking is very important throughout this entire process. Not just this process, the whole thing of transformation. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the motto that I use: the questions forward the conversation, and requests forward the action. That's just my motto when I'm leading.
Yeah, that's great. Like that. Mm-hmm.
Ade, could you say that again? I'm sorry.
Questions forward the conversation.
Okay.
And requests forward the action.
That's good.
Okay, so the next thing you're looking for are the ages and activities. Are the ages of the child and the activities distinguished? This is the one before that, Dickie, where, so the scenario for the infant, that's the introduction to it. Then there's the toddler. That's the one that's walking now. Then there's the older child, they're like 6 years old. Then there's the noticing that older child loves the water, and you put them in swim classes, and now they come back as an older child who knows how to swim. Basic ages. Then, and okay, so that completes that scenario up to the moment now. Then the child is a teenager, and there are 5 episodes that we distinguish in the story. When the young person asks to go, and that's 13 or 14 years old, and they come back on time. Then there's the second time when they are 14, 15, a year later, and they come back on time, but this time they looked out into the deep waters. They noticed someone calling them or playing with them, out playing and having a good time. Then the third scenario is when they come back late, and they went to the deep waters, and this is when they lied.
I thought that that also happened at age 15. I don't know how much it really matters.
It doesn't matter.
It was like,
Bonnie,
but is it right after?
Right. It doesn't matter the age, but it needs to be, it could have started 13 and 14 and 15, but
I thought that, sorry, what I'm saying is I thought that when they see the party in the deep waters, they go back the next day. Like they didn't go that time, but then they want to go, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. Maybe it's like after they go party the first time, then they want to go the next day. It's like, I don't think it matters that much though.
Well, we're not talking about that. That does happen. So they go to looking at deep waters.
So we're saying there could be a gap in there. The one I think that's the closest is when they come back late and lie.
Okay.
Then they right away go the next day.
Where do you see that?
Oh, that one. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, see, I got mixed up because I thought they go back the next day after the deep waters, but it's after they lie that they want to go back.
No, actually, no.
It is after they see that they want to go back the next day, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we can change those two ages. One of the
It's
ages,
okay.
have it be 15. Okay. Have the in the deep water and late with the lie at 15.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The course leader voice. Now, all of those times, that's the mother or father and the child speaking. Now, the course leader interrupts the story with the lie that, and you want to listen to, is the course leader, is there a shift in the voice? And then you want to listen to what happened. I can't see it. Oh, wait a minute, I can see it.
I'm sorry.
What happened for the first time is what the course leader is asking the young people, and what's broken. Now, many times many times you haven't given the young people an opportunity to say it was trust. You just give it to them. So you may want to hold off and see if they can come up with what was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And then with whom, and allow them to come up with whom it was broken.
So yeah. So the line there is they're going to say with their parent, and then I think I've heard a couple of them say, "Did the parent believe them?" And then they say yes, and then some of you then said you guys did go and say, "Well, then trust wasn't broken there," and so some of you put it in, and some of you didn't.
Then there's the short scenario of saying you did, lying about doing, you didn't do the homework, but you tell the teacher the lie that you did do the homework.
Where
and
do
you
you
look
see
through
that?
your books.
Okay.
You look through your book bag as though it's there, knowing that
No, that Dickie put that at the next one. That homework book story goes with "Why Don't You Believe Me?" Yeah. Because "Why Don't You Believe Me?" And I think only one of you got that in. I think that was Bonnie. The only one that got that one in.
Yeah, Lisette reminded me to get that in, but my first one didn't have it, so then I added it in the last one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think those last 2 days, "Why Don't You Believe Me?" would those also be 15? And I guess the last one could be 16 or 16.
No, leave it at 16. That's fine.
Leave it at 16?
Yeah, that's fine.
What is the homework book bag story? Sorry, I don't know if I'm just completely.
Oh, the book bag story. She asked me, what's the book bag story? So the book bag story is, how many of you in school, you went home, you didn't do your homework, and the teacher said, okay, pass out your homework, and then you start looking in your backpack, like you and your opponent, at your opponent, you start looking in your backpack, searching all over, looking for the homework, like you're getting mad, and then you even make up you have a dog or something, a little, that damn brother of mine, my brother, or the dog ate it. But all along, you forgot you didn't do the homework, and you're looking like you didn't do the homework, and then you go, why don't you believe I did the homework? Was the opponent always telling you the lie is the truth? So that's the homework story.
Okay, but I don't think we went over that, but that's.
I did. I swear. It's in the video. I did it.
I don't remember seeing it in the video.
Oh,
it's okay. I'm trying to get clear on if I'm understanding it correctly. So the course leader voice, you talk about the lie, you go through that, who broke the trust, with who, consequence of the lie. This is the end of dreams. This is the beginning of dreams unfulfilled. Then there's a part here, late with attitude, and they say, look, why don't you believe me?
Right.
This is emphasizing that how the opponent acts out and makes excuses and is trying to make the lie seem like the truth.
Yeah, like why don't you believe that the bus broke down or I lost my cell phone? Why don't you believe me?
Okay.
And this is this is to enhance that.
Okay.
So it basically, I found that it flows really well from, like, when you're saying how many of you lie. You lie to your mom, you lie to your teachers, and then you're looking like for your homework, and you know you didn't even do your homework. Like that, like it's in the.
No, it goes right here. It goes. Why don't you believe me? It goes there.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it can go there, but that it's in the addressing to the audience, like you are doing this, right? You might be looking for your homework or you're doing something. It's not part of it's not part of the story. It's like a breakout of the story.
Yes, it is. It's the course leader. This right here, that is the course leader. It is part of the story.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant it's the course leader, not the mom, not part of this.
Right. It's the course leader.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
And that might be in the script. Is that correct? In the script. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. It's important for. Remember, there are different kinds of learning. People learn different ways. So it's important that you do call it, that you let them answer exactly the same way every time. What are the 3 questions I'm going to ask you? What are the 3 things am I going to say? What are the 3 things I'm going to... And don't get impatient and start telling them, this is what I say. Some of you got impatient and wanted to move it further along, so you started saying it without asking them. The last question, whether the young boy comes, he has to finish detention. He has to go somewhere. Or the girl has to have had the baby. And then you ask this question, which way will they go? Will she stay home and take care of the baby? Will he stop doing whatever he was doing to get him arrested? Or will they go back out into the deep waters? And it's not it's not a discussion. And you have to say that. You have to say it right away, else the kids are going to tell you what they did. It's not a question to be answered. And that's when you change the mood quickly and go into the deep, the swimming, the drowning metaphor. Yeah, this is the drowning metaphor. Oh, no.
The flood story?
Yeah, no. It belongs. You're right. Okay, leave that right where it is.
Okay.
Then the lineup. Go ahead, do this process.
So you're making sure that you give them instructions around the context of the lineup process. If it's in silence, you're listening to see did the course leader say it's in silence. Did you hear the course leader say the opponent is saying your lie is always the truth? So you distinguish where the shore was in the room, where the water is that you can swim in, and where the deep waters are in the room. Those different areas in the room. Did they give a clear direction as to how to how to enter? This is really, there's a little mixed up here, but how do you enter into the water from the shore? So that we saw some people say you go around this wall and you enter into it this way and you walk. This is the shore and this is the deep water, and this is the way everybody does it, no matter where you're sitting.
So it eliminates, it's the walk of shame. And it eliminates the people who are in the, let's say, the last row, who just wants to, if they're in the last row and they just want to go to deep waters, well, this is the walk of shame. You got to walk all the way to the front, all the way to the left or to the right, and then all the way back.
Okay.
So it's everyone has to do the walk of shame.
And then you call people's name. You let them know that you're going to call their name one at a time, and for them to go stand in one of three areas. And you'll start with education. Then you'll ask them, once they're all there in education lined up, then you'll ask them to now switch and be in family relationship with family members. Where is that? And sometimes you can make it be the most important family member. So your mom, your dad, not just uncle and aunt, but the important relationships.
The ones you live with.
And then they switch and do personal well-being. Now, as you do that, each one of those areas, you're in partnership. The course leader is in partnership with the participation manager who has the applications, the young people's applications, so they can have that ready at hand to show the course leader the grades, the last fights, arguments. This is what the young person put on their application so that you can support the young person to be more honest in where they're standing.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, this is the part that I changed it with the parents. So what I did is that I did overall in all the areas in their life, the 8 areas in their life, because I present first the wheel. So instead of the 3 areas, I said in general, where you at in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I have a concern, Tabo, that you might miss your opportunity to practice to do this for young people by doing it for parents. Specifically at applying it now to parents. We are learning to do this for young people. So your right now practice is doing it for adults, and you might miss something. I'm on the side to recommend that you do this with people who you can do this more for them being your practice with being with young people.
Okay.
Flood story. Thank you. The flood story comes next, and you're asking, did the course leader distinguish 3 episodes with the flooding? Some folks had the rowboat.
No, I did 4 in the video. That's why they did that.
What 4 did you do?
But it doesn't matter. We're going to use these 3.
Yeah, but I was. Okay, just look at your video and see where you started. The flood has to come first before rescue shows up, okay? And then the next one is we probably not, you know this one, is the course leader making this statement that we're probably not the first people and probably will be, and might be your last. I don't ever say that we will be your last, but I say we might be your last.
Well, it's not, we could be your last. This could be, you could get in. Some of you may be got in the rowboat, the ship, the help. We're never saying that we're the last people. You can get in now and make this your last. So it's them choosing to get in and make it your last. You don't have to drown. You don't have to keep dying and drowning. And remember, the conversation, why are these volunteers here, happened already. And so one of the things about, like the opponent happened already. So it's like, you can make this be last, and you already said that because you're sitting here. However, there's another enrollment underneath it, which is you could sit. Kevin, I think right after this, what I normally do is how do you score? Kevin? Okay. I think
He's there. He's just on mute right now. If Kevin might come on.
I think the conversation that comes in here is how do you score? But I'll make that. Don't worry about that. What happens in the conditions of winning, the young people and the people who were learning the game came up with the conditions of winning. And then as the trainers, we distinguished that they didn't know. We are training them, so we'll let them know there's some other conditions that they didn't know that they needed to they needed, and that goes, and that's a whole different conversation. That we'll give you the script to that later. But there are things like raise your hand. You got to raise your hand for every question. You have to blah 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 blah, and that's how you know you got into the boat, the helicopter, or the ship. But we'll bring that in at a different time. I'll give you the script for that at a different time. Kevin, Tavo, you've seen that conversation, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. In the flood story, with the line that says, "We're probably not the first people to reach out to you as you've been drowning, but we could be your last."
Mm-hmm.
What I heard differently in what you said was that that's more as an invitation.
That's right.
It could be your, not as a threat. Hey,
That's right.
but we could be your last. It's more,
Right.
and we could be your last. Like if you get in the boat, you don't have to swim anymore. You can receive help, but it's your choice.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I also heard in that, Dickie, that it was an invitation to instead of saying we could be your last, I heard you could make us be your last. It's like it's on you. You could have us be your last.
Right. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah,
Right.
This doesn't have to continue. This doesn't have to continue.
Yeah, because if we say we could be your last, I think automatically with those words, no matter what the intention is, they're going to hear like, I might not get another chance or something. I don't know. So I think
so you could just change it to what our date said.
Yeah, yeah. You could make us, you could
have us be your last. You could have us be the end of this story. The end, you know.
I thought it was so cute when some of you try to sing the song. That was so great.
Bonnie sing?
Bonnie, what's Veronica Victoria, she sang the song.
Oh man, the first time I started laughing because my sister started laughing, and but then the second time I managed to keep a straight face.
Okay, listen as though your place doesn't. Okay.
So you set up the song for them to listen to the song, having them sit in their chair, give some posture to the chair, to their body, eyes closed, or a soft focus just on the floor in front of you. You know, and you keep the experience individual. The people have a personal experience here.
Dickie, I'd like to know if you do me a favor.
Yeah.
If you could just color code this so the three voices are different.
Okay.
Okay, so when it's a course leader's voice in green, when it's the parent's voice in any other color but red. You're like if you go through the question where you can see that. So like where it says, did the course leader say, so that question, did the course leader say, like that will be in course leader color. Okay? So we're going to give you your assignment now.
So I have a quick question. At the very end, I think in San Jose, I don't know if we do that last piece where you're going to write for minutes or whatever about this. I feel like I don't remember that. So I just wondered if that's something that we don't do we skip that at San Jose. Is that correct?
That's right. We don't do it.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So here's your assignment. Mostly your scripts are like 25 minutes. So we're going to give you about 40 minutes to look at your scripts and do this. Evaluate your own work according with the script. You're going to have to stop and check and stop. And by that time, it will be 2:50 my time, which is what?
No, then they're going to evaluate.
Hold on. What's 2:50?
11:50 here.
Then it will be 11:50. I'd like you to take a 10-minute break, and then Dickie is going to put you guys in rooms. And what you're going to do, let's see.
To evaluate the other person.
Right. So no, you're not in a room yet. We're going to tell you whose video you're going to. You have everybody's video, so you'll evaluate another person's video. Who do we have?
Okay, so let's start with.
We said Tavo, and then we said Bonnie. Tavo and Bonnie. So Tavo, you look at Bonnie's, and Bonnie's will look at Tavo. And then Vicky and Vicky and Patty, we said. But we don't want Tavo to. Kevin, can you hold on? Kevin, ask Kevin if he can look at somebody's video.
I can, but I gotta work again at noon.
What did he say?
Talk louder.
He has to leave in 40 minutes.
Okay,
So
that's perfect.
40.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So we'd like you to look at.
Dickie's.
No, Vicky. It was Vicky. It was Vicky and Patty. Right. So Kevin, you'll look at Dickie's video. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So then that's 11:50 plus a 10-minute break. It's 12 o'clock plus 40 minutes to do the next one. It's, what time is it now?
12:40.
12:40.
12:40. And we'd like you then to take your lunch break. And can you be back at 1:30? Or do you need, 1:30?
When do they talk to each other about the evaluation?
When we all come back.
Okay.
So to be back online at 1:30. When do they go to their rooms?
We just took it out.
Oh, I know. After lunch, Dickie, after lunch, you put them in rooms to go over the evaluation.
Okay, to debrief. Okay, to get feedback.
And
okay.
you join the room with Tavo.
Okay.
And Bonnie, because Kevin won't be there.
Correct.
So now, and so we said that would only be 20 minutes. So now what time is it?
If we're back at 1:30 and then we get into groups,
Uh-huh.
so that's 1:30 and then 20 minutes at 1:50.
Okay.
1:50, we all convene back together?
Yes. If there's a need, you could, we're not just going to sit here and look at the screen. So text Ade or Claudette.
Okay, roll it back, Dickie. What you just understood as a time frame, please.
Okay. Step 1, I watch my video and evaluate my video, my presentation.
Yes, and that goes from now until 11:40.
So what time is it now?
11:15.
It's 11:15 right now.
Right now.
Okay, add 40. Say it's 11:20.
Okay.
So that's 12 o'clock.
Okay, so between 11:20 and noon, I am watching my video and evaluating it.
Yes.
And then taking a quick break, a bio break or whatever it is.
Right.
Then when I get done with that, it's now 12:10. 12:10, I then watch, in this case, I would watch, well, if I'm Tavo, I watch someone else's video.
Right.
I watch someone else's video.
So, but wait, for you, you will watch somebody else's video too.
Okay.
You'll watch Tavo's video.
Okay. So I watch Tavo's video and I evaluate him.
Right.
I go through the check boxes and I evaluate him. My question is, I'm doing that all on my own?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not talking with him, or I'm just going through watching his video and just seeing what I noticed.
Right.
Then when I get done with that,
and that time frame is from 12:10 to 12:50.
yes. Then at 12:50, I then have lunch break.
Yes.
From 12:50
To 1:30.
To 1:30.
40 minutes.
Okay. So then at 1:30, I'm back online, and Dickie will put us into breakout rooms. He'll have us so that we can see each other on the screens, and then we'll start to share and talk about what we saw in the videos, and that happens from 1:30 to 1:50.
Correct.
Yes. And use your evaluation tool for that conversation to go quickly.
So are we gonna share how do we evaluate a person?
With the tools.
With what worked and what we saw was, do we want to say what we saw that really worked and what stuff that was still needed?
The checklist.
Use the checklist.
The checklist.
Okay, I just say, oh, I saw this, but I didn't see this.
Right.
Okay, so I just go through, this is what I saw, and this is what I didn't see. Okay.
And you can always tell them what worked about them.
Okay.
Start with what worked and end with what worked. No suggestions about you could do this different. None of that. Their coaches are there for that.
So we only tell them what worked for us, or do we go
and mention what, they just evaluated themselves and you just evaluated themselves. Let's see if you guys came up with the same evaluation using the tool.
I mean, so if there was a line like, oh, I didn't see this part, then we let them know, but we don't do any coaching on it, but we can let them know I didn't see, like, the walking to get to the water or something.
Here's what I would say. If it's my script and you are the one talk, I'm going to tell you I'm going to go line by line. I'm going to generate line by line, and then you say, "Yep, that's what I saw." If I didn't pick up something, you go, "But you didn't do this next line." But I'm causing my evaluation. Did you understand me? Yeah,
No,
I'm
I'm
the one
sorry,
saying what I could see. I didn't have 3 voices.
Okay, so when we're sharing, I'm just sharing like with Tavo. This is what I see I did and I didn't do, and he's basically saying whether he sees the same thing.
That's right.
Okay, got you. I totally got you now.
No opinions about you could do it this way. No, none of that. They have coaches for that.
Yeah, got it.
And we have only 10 minutes to do that, because if we have a total of 20, so both persons is 10 apiece.
Yes. Is that enough time?
Maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes total.
Okay, 30 minutes total. Okay, that's fine.
So that put us at 2 p.m.
Okay, 2 p.m. Está bien. Okay.
Worth mentioning is that when you're in groups, you will receive a notification saying that you have 60 seconds left while you're in the group, and you'll be joining back in. So you'll receive a notification that lets you know you're going to be joining the back of the group to begin finishing up your conversation.
Thank you for doing this, Dickie.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions before I get?
We're back together at 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the main group, we're all back together at 2.
Dickie, could you put my phone number at the bottom of this? I don't know if people have my phone number. 917.
Oh.
Okay.
917-566-7975.
And you want that at the bottom of this sheet?
I just want you guys to have it.
Okay.
If you have a question, if you need me, I just want to be able to be available. I'm available the entire time.
So, Dickie, do you have this? Is this in to where you can fill it out, or?
Can you email it that we can print it?
So a day had sent out an email to everybody with the links to the videos, and as an attachment, this evaluation, which is a Word document. So everybody should have the Word document and the links to the videos. Does that answer the question? I wasn't clear on the question.
But did you make some modification and you put the colors and we edit this document? We have the new one?
Okay. Yes, I can. Yes. I can email this out to everybody in the next 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you, Dickie.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions?
So they could take their break now while he's doing this and then come back?
They could, yeah. Any other questions? Good job, team. Kevin, thank you. Love you guys. I'll see you at, 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
2 o'clock, we're all back.
Okay, bye.
Jair!
How you turn this off right there? Okay. I have to change my clothes.
Okay.